Hey everyone, Chris Patterson here, author of the Dreamwalker Chronicles, author of To Kill a Witch and To Kill a Warlock, fantasy and historical fiction author. And I've been getting a lot of questions recently, especially as an independently published author who I've published 8 novels, a couple more on the way. So I've done okay in terms of getting content out there. So I've been getting some questions from readers, from friends, followers about AI, right? Artificial intelligence, and obviously specifically AI within the writing and publishing process. Now, if you're a traditionally published author, this probably isn't going to apply to you because, we all know that if you get picked up by a traditional publisher, the likelihood is that they're covering your artwork, they're covering your editing, you're not paying or making a whole lot of decisions on any of this once that publishing company takes over that process. So, but for us independently published authors and readers, these are really good questions to consider. Now, I think there's a lot that goes into AI's involvement in the publishing process. And so what I would like to do today is just for a couple minutes focus on AI in regards to artwork, right? The cover artwork more specifically in a book. And so, I have a couple different opinions, and I kind of have some contradictory opinions on AI when it comes to AI and cover artwork. And there's a couple other authors that I really respect that have kind of spoken on this. So I kind of wanted to jump on the bandwagon and give my 2 cents. These are all obviously my own opinion. I would love to hear from you if you agree or disagree. I think open discourse is, kind of how we figure things out. So, AI with cover artwork. Here are, I'm an independently published author. I'm the son of a small business owner. I am a small business owner myself. And so one of the things that I am acutely aware of as a small business owner and independently published author is money, or oftentimes the lack thereof. Okay, so let me just say that up front, okay, before I continue. So I'm not a huge fan. Up front, I'm not a huge fan of using AI-generated artwork to create book covers. Now, I do understand in some cases why someone would do that, and I'll talk about that, but I'm not a fan. I believe that AI has its place when it comes to cover artwork. I think I know that personally I have used AI-generated pictures to send to my cover artist as a prompt to create the book cover that I'm looking for, that he envisions. And so I think that's actually a really good place for AI to exist within the book cover creation process. For an author or even an artist to use an image, I mean, we have to get motivation from somewhere, to use an image, sometimes even based on a part of your book. You can type that into an art generator and it will create a picture based on that scene in your book. And I think that's a really good use of AI. However, we have to remember that as indie authors, there are all these different parts of the publishing process, and there's people who specifically do those things. This is how they make their living. And one of the things that I'm aware of whenever I try to cut corners, cut costs, for me is, am I cutting out money that people who I know and respect, people who are working just as hard as me, am I taking money out of their pocket? And I know that sounds super altruistic, and I want to be empathetic towards other people, but sometimes we are in a money crunch, and so that might not be a luxury that we have to be concerned about. But if I were to take on myself, create a cover on my own using AI artwork, the reality is I am taking money away from Simon Carr or Hampton Limmerou, who are 2 people who have done cover artwork for me. And they've done a great job. They've worked with me expertly, and I think that their prices are very reasonable. The $500 or $600 that I might save on a cover, is it worth the 3 or 4 hours that it would take to actually generate that cover? Maybe not that long. Is it worth the lifelong connection that I might make with these people? Not just friendships, but networking, business relationships. Is it worth, I don't know, is that AI piece of artwork going to be as good as something that was digitally manipulated by a digital artist, or actually created by an artist? Is it going to look as good? And I think those are all questions that get raised when we talk about using AI to create a cover. Now, who knows, 5 or 10 years from now, AI as it has been improving might not look like AI anymore, but I think you can still kind of have an idea of what is created by AI still today. And so that's my first concern, taking money out of the pockets of people who are doing just exactly what we are doing and losing out on those relationships that creates. The other problem with that I see with AI generated cover artwork is, because people oftentimes can tell if something is created through AI, I think it raises a red flag for potential readers. I think a lot of readers, what I've heard from other authors and readers is if they see an AI generated cover, they start to ask, what else is AI generated? Is the content inside the book, is the story itself really Chris Patterson's story, or did he simply plug some ideas into an AI generator and that is the story that we're getting? And I think that's my biggest reason to not support AI cover artwork is the fact that it can bring up doubt in potential readers. And I mean, it can be super damaging. Someone goes on Facebook or Amazon or Goodreads or whatever and writes a really nasty review. And it's not one of those trolling nasty reviews, but a nasty review talking about, hey, this is not original content. That can be very, very damaging for potential careers. So again, the $300 or $400, $500 that I might save, is it worth potentially putting doubt in a reader's mind? Is it worth probably, you're gonna make that money back typically. So is it worth it? Is it worth potentially getting someone out there talking to other people? And, talk is talk, but, talking to other people about, hey, this guy doesn't do original stuff, be careful. And I think that is the most damaging part of using AI generated artwork for your cover. Now, why would I support someone using AI generated artwork? I mean, again, like I said, I am acutely aware of money. I'm also a high school teacher. My wife's a nurse. We don't have a ton of money. I mean, I feel very blessed, but still, we've got to be very careful. And, there's been times where even $200 to try to get a mock-up for a cover is a lot of money. And, a lot of indie authors out there, I've been blessed to make money off of my books. There was a time where I wasn't. I'm certainly not making enough money to go full-time by any stretch of the imagination. But there's a lot of people out there who were in my boat and making almost no money, if anything. I mean, basically you're in the red all the time, and we're trying to figure out ways to cut costs. And if someone can take some software like a Premiere Pro or Adobe Acrobat, or there's a bunch out there that I can't even think of that's on my thing, but they can take something like that, take some AI generated artwork that looks pretty good, it's eye-catching, they can mash it up together, they can get the template from KDP, and they can slap together a cover that's gonna, again, I know we say don't judge a book by its cover, but people do, that's gonna catch the eye, gonna make people wanna read the book. It's hard to argue against that. It's hard to tell, a mom who is, her husband's working hard, she's working hard, trying to provide for their kids, and she's also a phenomenal writer, and she's got great stuff, but they just have no extra money. It's hard to tell her, shame on you for figuring out a way to produce a book that people are going to want to read, because it saves money. I have a hard time doing that. And so I think in some cases, especially for those new people come, just kind of breaking on a scene, sometimes AI generated artwork for a cover is a necessity. And, like me, the cover for my first book, A Chance Beginning, has changed, I think, 5 times. And the cover that I have right now is going to be the cover for a long time. But, the reality is if someone uses AI generated artwork for their cover, later on they can change it once they have enough money to get someone to professionally do it, right? So it's hard, in the writing world, it's hard to judge, right? Especially indie authors, it's hard, when money's tight and we're not getting paid big advances by a big publishing company. We've got to cover our own marketing, our own artwork, our own editing, all those things. So, AI is going to be really, really interesting, I think, in the next 5 or 10 years in our industry. And like I said, I want to talk about this a little bit more, specifically addressing kind of each individual area of the publishing process, including writing. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you tune in for the other videos. Would love to hear your comments, your feedback, your thoughts on AI. It's definitely, like I said, a very intriguing question when it comes to the publishing and writing world. So hope you guys have a great day. Until next time, happy writing, happy reading, and peace.